Everyone, it's Sammy from Sammy's Sweet Life, and today I am talking about migraines. I have actually not done a migraine update in quite a while. To start from the very beginning, I started getting migraines right at the time I got my period for the first time. I was around 11 and I have been getting migraines since then. So it's been quite a while and I've gone through everything. I've tried everything. I've had MRIs. I've had lots of different neurologists over the years, and I found that Botox really works for me. It's just something I would get every 3, sometimes up to 5 months apart. And if I get it consistently, I'm basically living migraine free. It's like I very rarely get a migraine anytime once I have the Botox. So I found that in college. I have a few definite triggers, stress being one of them. I've had the most migraines I've ever had in college. It was just a really stressful time. I double majored and I was pre-med and I job shadowed my own neurologist at the time. And it was just a really stressful time. So I was getting migraines almost daily, like every other day there for a stretch. I was getting at least 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 migraines a week. And I was missing more class than I was attending. I was doing really poorly in school because you have to show up to be able to function in college. So it was just a really stressful time. I ended up finding the first neurologist that really basically saved my life, and she did Botox on me, and the first time it worked, and I've been on it ever since. That was in college, so it's been a long time since then, and it's worked really nicely. The only problem with getting Botox is it is freakishly expensive, so we meet our deductible every single year because of the Botox. And also you can't get it while you are pregnant. So we moved from Tennessee to Champaign and I had to find a new neurologist at that point, and it took a while. It took a while to get approval again and get the Botox again. So that took a while and I was off of the Botox for a while. Then slowly but surely I was getting the migraines back. I was having the migraines again during that break of no Botox. And then I was pregnant with Olivia. That was the second break I've ever had from the Botox. And thankfully I was mostly migraine free. I had a couple of weeks in the first trimester that really just were migraine filled weeks, but other than that I didn't have very many. And then postpartum I did have some, and then I got back on the Botox and it's been great. And then I got pregnant with Stella and that's been my third break from the Botox. I thought once I had her I'd be okay for a while. I started getting some migraines since then, and I went back to my neurologist here in Texas, and they do not let me get the Botox when I'm breastfeeding. So it wasn't a problem when I was in Champaign. The doctor let me get it. He just wanted me to pump for a couple of hours and then dump it because the Botox stays pretty localized to your muscles, but there is a bit of it that does go into your bloodstream. So they wanted to just be safe. There's honestly just not a whole lot of documentation on Botox in breastfeeding mothers. So it's really just kind of unknown if there's a problem. And we didn't have any problems with Olivia. I did what the doctor said, pumped and dumped a little bit. And by the time I got the Botox again, she was a little bit older, so she wasn't nursing like totally around the clock at that point. So it was really okay. As soon as I got the Botox, I was pretty much migraine free. So as long as I get this Botox every 3 to 5 months, I'm pretty much okay. And then the neurologist here that I've been seeing for 3 years will not give it to me while I'm breastfeeding. So I am without Botox now. That's why I wanted to film this update video, because we're trying something new. It's not quite new to me. We were trying this out, I don't know, a couple of years back when I first went to this neurologist. After a while, we tried this technique and I didn't notice a whole lot of difference, but I was also on the Botox, so it could have just been like the Botox was already covering me as much as it could and I didn't notice any different. I'm doing something called trigger point injections, and it's where they try to loosen the muscles, mainly like in your neck. It's just these muscles in my neck are super duper tight, and it's just like they hold all the stress and they're just tight naturally. So when she's like feeling my muscles, they feel really tense and tight. And right now they don't, because I did have this trigger point injection thing done. So what it is they stick needles in the like attachment part of the muscle that attaches to wherever the muscle is attached to. So she puts that needle in. Sometimes it's just the physical mechanical motion of the needle going into the muscle that helps it release. Sometimes it's a saline solution and sometimes it's a steroid solution. And so she said I could do the steroid. It is breastfeeding safe. So she did end up doing steroids in my muscles. So it's like all the muscles down my neck into my like shoulder blades. She's using this trigger point injections to just loosen up the muscles and hopefully help with the migraines. And so that's basically like the thing I'm doing instead of Botox. It's not even close to as expensive. The thing that makes the Botox treatment so expensive is the vial of Botox is really expensive, and it's like $1,200 for this teeny tiny vial of Botox. And I understand it's like a really controlled type of situation. It has to be just right, you know. It's very important that the medicine is perfect, but it's hella expensive. So it makes it really challenging. I'm getting that, you know, 4 times a year. We're meeting our deductible. With this new thing called trigger point injections, I can get it up to every month. Right now, I think it's at 6 weeks because of the holidays, but we're going to be going probably every month to just make sure that I don't get migraines, because it's debilitating for me. It's not something where I can just like pop an Advil and be fine. It's where I'm stuck in the bed or I'm throwing up in the bathroom and I'm in the worst amount of pain of my whole life. And it's really hard. I can't take care of kids like that. Like when I'm having a bad migraine day, Johnny has to stay home. It's something that I can't do with a newborn baby, you know? Like I know early on with Olivia, I had a few migraines really early on, and he would take care of the newborn, bring her to me to breastfeed, and then take her back for hours because I was just non-functional during those migraines. So it's really just crucial to have some sort of treatment for me so that I can take care of my kids and I don't have migraines. Luckily, I've only had 3 what I consider like bad ones where I'm getting the full-blown migraine effects. I do have smaller migraines that don't have the aura. Those are ones I can function through. When I'm talking, the 3 bad ones are ones where I had to go lay down, and one of the ones I was like in the bathroom throwing up multiple times throughout the whole migraine cycle. It's just a brutal thing to have, and especially having kids depend on me, it's just something I can't have happen all the time. So I do try to limit my stress. I avoid certain things that can trigger migraines for me. One of them is a lot of caffeine. I just stay away from caffeinated things. I do get sweet tea out every once in a while, but I water it down so it's not a lot of caffeine. And most of the time I have decaf tea if I'm having tea, so it doesn't have hardly any caffeine in it at all. And then I also avoid nitrates, and you guys, if you watch my grocery hauls, you guys will have seen I just get nitrate-free hot dogs, nitrate-free bacon, that kind of thing. So I'm avoiding the sodium nitrate and the sodium nitrite. And for some reason, sea salt and celery salt, natural nitrate derivatives do not affect me, but those man-made ones really do. So I avoid those. Like I can't eat the sausage at IHOP. I don't know how many times we've gone into IHOP. I've had just one sausage leg, and by the time we're leaving, I'm starting to get a migraine from the sausage. It's just like clockwork. That stuff sets me off. I also avoid ramen noodle seasoning packets because I found a link between having the ramen noodles with the seasoning packet and getting migraines. It's just something with the MSG or the whatever additives they add into it that set me off. And I've had MSG and other things. It doesn't seem to bother me, but just I guess the amount in that seasoning packet really gets to me. The plan of attack is a little bit different this time than my normal plan of attack. Previous to this, I was on the Botox every 3 to 5 months, and I was also taking a muscle relaxer every night. It was called tizanidine, and it's just not a very breastfeeding friendly one, so I'm not taking that now. And I was also, when I was getting a migraine, I could take diclofenac, which is just a really strong NSAID, basically like ibuprofen on steroids, a big NSAID medicine, and it seemed to help between those things. Those things aren't breastfeeding safe. So my plan of attack now is doing the trigger point injections up to every month, sometimes trying to space it out 6 weeks like we're doing currently because of the holidays. It just happened to be I couldn't get a month appointment. And then I got a prescription for a different muscle relaxer, but so far I have not taken it. I'd really like to take as few things as possible. That's something that I would have to take daily. Filled the prescription and I haven't started it yet. If my migraines get bad enough, I will start it. And then I got sumatriptan, which I think is Imitrex, and we're gonna try that one out. And since this new approach has happened, I've had one migraine, I took a sumatriptan. I don't know that it really helped all that much, but it ended up not being a super horrible migraine. So I think the sumatriptan did help some, but it's not instantaneous. That's the washing machine. But the sumatriptan is just not instantaneous for me. So I've tried all the triptans in the past. I basically tried all the medicines in the past. They've tried me on some antidepressants that also help with migraines. And this was back in college and before college. So I've tried all the triptans, including sumatriptan. I've tried it in the past. And I did end up at some point being so desperate, I used the Imitrex shot. So it's like a self-injector thing. You basically shove it onto your thigh and pull the trigger and it shoots the Imitrex in your body like a shot, you know? I was using that so often I got rebound migraines. So you have to really be careful with the migraine medicine because it can make the migraines worse over time. So she said, you know, be very careful with the Imitrex this time because we know I'm prone to having rebound migraines. But so far I've taken 1 dose of that. I haven't taken the muscle relaxers. I forgot to mention earlier, this video is kind of all over the place, but I forgot to mention earlier, sleep is also also a trigger for me. So I have to get sleep. And having a newborn, that makes it really hard. When she was waking up every 2 hours or so, I wasn't getting sleep. And that's when I was getting more headaches. I was having almost daily regular headaches where I can take ibuprofen and get through it and just power through. So far I've had 3 knockdown drag out migraines, the worst of the worst kind. That one was really early on after getting the trigger point injection. So I'm hoping that the trigger point injections just get better and better. It seems like your muscles will start loosening up and getting used to having this treatment done. So it won't be like the first time getting it done. So I haven't had any like daily headaches hardly at all since. I've had like 1 or 2 little ones. I've had like 1 or 2 little ones, but nothing major. I'm pretty sure the trigger point injections have helped quite a bit. It's also really helped that Stella has been sleeping better. So I've been getting some sleep. I've been able to function a little bit better. And one of the things I always do is try to make sure I'm hydrated. I don't know if dehydration is one of my triggers, but I suspect that it could be. When I walked into the office to talk about the Botox, I just had no idea she was gonna shut me down and be like, oh, you can't get it while you're breastfeeding because I did it last time. And so it just changes things big time for me. So I'm really trying to make sure I'm not stressing out about things, make sure I'm just doing the normal things, eating right, going to bed on time, which is hard when, you know, the kids are up all day. I just want some time to myself in the end of the day, and I still have to just force myself to go to bed sometimes because I just want to stay up late and play on the computer and dink around on my phone and do kidless things like eat junk food and just veg out on the couch. But I have to really force myself to get some sleep while the baby sleeps because I really want to avoid getting more migraines. If you have a chronic illness, especially one that's like brought on by stress, you get a little bit stressed out trying to not stress out. It's so weird. So I've been really trying to calm myself and not be anxious about it. But I felt myself after that second bad one, I was like, I've got to do something. I called the doctor immediately. I was like, I need my Botox, and they had me in for an appointment pretty quickly. They called me and gave me an appointment pretty quickly. I think my first appointment was supposed to be like this week, but they got me in a few weeks ago. So I'm really thankful that she did the trigger point injections that day, even though she wasn't really supposed to. Like, it was supposed to be just a regular appointment. She squeezed in the trigger point injections so that I could get some relief, and I definitely think it has helped. I've been without Botox for like a year, so it definitely has made some sort of difference, and we're going to continue with that. It's a little bit more of a dedication going every month to every 6 weeks versus going every 3 to 5 months. It's a lot more appointments, but thankfully it's way cheaper. So I don't know if we're going to actually hit our deductible for the first time in forever. And one of the things she said at the appointment, she said, if it gets really bad, you can just stop breastfeeding. And I was like, I never thought of that. Like, I was just like so dead set on breastfeeding. And when she told me I couldn't get the Botox because I was breastfeeding, I was like, wow, I can't get the Botox. So if worse comes to worse, I will quit breastfeeding and I will get the Botox again. And so that gave me a little bit of relief right there. When I first heard her say I couldn't get it, I was like panicking a little bit, like, what do you mean I can't get it? I've always had it since college and it's really helped. But a while ago, she told me that chronic Botox users can get sunken in muscles because the muscles atrophy. So like muscles on your face can start sinking in and they just lose their definition. So she says she can tell like people who've used Botox for, you know, decades and decades, they have like sunken in places above their eyebrows, sunken in places like there. And so one of the things is to eventually get me off Botox anyway. This breastfeeding problem could be good. If I get used to the trigger point injections and they work, I'll do this instead. And hopefully over time I can extend them to the 6 week and maybe even further out. I don't know if they're effective after 6 weeks, but it could be one of those things that if I start getting migraines again, I go back for the trigger point injections again. The ultimate plan would be to not go back on the Botox now that I'm being forced off of the Botox. But I'll tell you, one of the benefits of having Botox, besides the obvious, like getting the migraine relief, which is just crucial to my life. Like, I don't know how I lived and functioned with the migraines that I had before, because just getting one now puts me in such a dark place. They're just so life disrupting that I don't know how I survived, honestly. Like, I don't know how I made it all those years having migraines so badly. Just thinking about it gives me chills because I'm just so thankful that the medicine exists that actually has helped me. I just have so much love and compassion for anybody out there suffering from a chronic thing and you don't have your, you know, your miracle medicine yet, or you don't have your cure yet. It's just really tough. Having these migraines again made me think about that. Think about how hard it was in college, like not being able to attend class. One semester I had to withdraw because they were so bad and so disruptive, and I was just gonna fail my classes because I could not go to them. And it's one of those things that you have to be there if you're gonna pass. So it was just really tough surviving college with them. And my migraine problem really played into me like taking a step back, not pursuing medical school, even though my grades sucked, so I couldn't even get in because of my migraine issues. So yeah, it was like beating my head against the wall, trying to get through school. And I'm so thankful I did end up getting the Botox and did end up finally graduating, but it took longer than normal and it was a lot of struggle for me. But yeah, I'm just so thankful that I don't struggle as bad as I used to. And like I said, worst comes to worst, if I start getting migraines more frequently and they're disrupting everything, I will wean her and I will go on the Botox again. And I don't even think I mentioned it, but I talked about I got my period and then I started getting migraines. Well, hormones are a big trigger. So like beginning of pregnancy has a lot of hormone fluctuations. So that's why I was getting migraines then. Postpartum is really like your hormones go crazy. So no wonder I'm getting them now. And especially like my period's trying to start again. So I'm really irregular, which means my hormones are being really irregular. It makes sense that I'm getting migraines again because of the postpartum stuff and because of the stress of having a newborn. It's really stressful, it's sleep depriving, and you don't always take care of yourself really great. So it makes sense that I have gotten them again, but thankfully they are nowhere near how they used to be. And also I could try the muscle relaxer at night if I need to. I just haven't done it yet because they haven't been bad since the trigger point injection shots, which I'm hoping will just work. I really hope they will just work. I'm really hoping that I'll continue to be migraine free because it's one of those things that I just don't even think about. I go get my Botox and I don't even have to think about it. It's just such a part of my routine to avoid the certain things I already avoid. So I don't even think, oh, I have to get this bacon instead of the other bacon because of my migraines. It's just like I get nitrate-free bacon out of habit and I don't even think about it. It's just such an ingrained habit. And same with the caffeine. I don't drink caffeine. It's just something I don't even think about. Like when we're going out to eat, I don't even think about ordering a soda. It's just at this point like 2 decades of this. So I just have the things that I avoid and I don't even give it a second thought, and I don't think about migraines every day. But getting them recently, I have thought about them more. It's just one of those things I haven't had to think about very much at all. So thinking about it again and getting new treatments for it again, it's kind of like starting over, starting over with things and experimenting a little bit again. And it's a little bit scary because I got 2 kids to take care of. So I just wanted to give you guys the update, the big migraine news. It was just kind of shocking and I wanted to fill you guys in on it. If you are a migraine sufferer and you get them chronically, I would highly recommend trying out Botox if your insurance will cover it and if you can afford it. It was truly a miracle for me and I will talk up the praises of it because it gave me my life back basically. Like I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know if I was going to have to go on disability because I was unable to do anything. I wasn't sure I was going to graduate from college. I had to quit a part-time job because I just couldn't make it to the part-time job. Thankfully, every job that I have had, they've always been really considerate of my migraine situation. That's like one of the first things I say. And most of the time, everybody's been really accommodating. So it's just one of those things that I always had to plan for before. So yeah, that really covers all of it. I do get migraine with aura and I also get migraine without aura. So when I'm saying like the big horrible migraines, I'm talking about migraine with aura. And my aura, I'll like walk you through like the steps. So first, I will notice something in my periphery. You can see everything in your vision and I'll notice like a blank spot in my periphery and I'll just start like looking over there like, okay, I don't see something. Like if I hold my hand out like this in front of my face, I wouldn't be able to see my pinky at some point because the peripheral vision will start going away and it will start taking over from whatever side it's coming from. So like this side or like this side, and it'll look like metallic rainbow sparklies just taking over my vision. And at some point it takes over like most of my vision. So that part's kind of scary. Like if I'm out driving and I start getting a migraine, I have to have somebody come pick me up because I can't keep driving. So I have had situations like that where we've had to park my car somewhere, somebody's had to come pick me up, and we've had to go get my car again at some other point. Thankfully, it's like a really slow process. So like I'll notice the sparklies and I'll have chances to, you know, take medicine, get things under control. Anytime I can't see my periphery, I get startled and I was like, oh wait, oh, it's just the lighting in this room or whatever. And it's not a migraine starting. So that's my first clue that I'm getting one. And then after the vision kind of like takes over, it'll start clearing back, and it's all these metallic sparklies that's taking over, and I can't see things very well. And then I will get numbness on whatever side the migraine is on. So migraines are generally just one-sided headaches, and so whatever side it's on, my fingers will start tingling, my face will start tingling. It's like almost like stroke-like symptoms. In the past, I didn't know like how to explain it when I was a little kid, so I would like be holding a drink and the drink would just fall. I don't know how many cups of things I've dropped because I just could not feel the thing with my hand. So that was a problem when I was really little, but now I know what it is. So I'll have like my hand will be numb up to almost my elbow sometimes, my face, my tongue. It'll be a little bit hard for me to talk during some of it. Freaking freaky. Like it's a freaky thing to have happen. And then at some point the headache part will take over, and it's just a pounding, throbbing headache. It gets worse by noise, by light. It's really nice to go into a dark, quiet room and just lay there. And I do get waves of nausea. So a lot of times I'm in the bathroom throwing up, and I go between running to the bathroom and throwing up and laying in the bed. Sometimes I'll put a cool washcloth on my head or my neck to try to get some relief. And this is all with medicine. Like this is me already taking the medicine. I will still go through hours of this. So it's really, really hard to function during the migraines. And one of the weirdest symptoms, I have hydrophobia during it. So if I drink water, it will make me immediately throw up. I just cannot ingest water. And so I always have like apple juice. I have a tube of apple juice in the freezer for if I get a migraine, I can still drink some things. I always have cans of chicken soup in the house so that I can actually eat something during this. It's just so much nausea, and I can't just drink water. Sometimes we'll have Gatorades in the house too, just in case. But yeah, I'm pretty much knocked out for at least like half a day, sometimes pretty much a whole day. And thankfully, I've only had a few of them, and they have not been really long. Thankfully, one of them, the worst one I've had, was at night. I was literally nursing Stella, getting her ready for bed when I noticed my vision was messing up. So thankfully, she went right to bed, and I suffered during the night, and she was mostly asleep during the whole thing. I could just go through it without worrying about baby. But yeah, it's just a miserable, horrible thing. And it's one of those things that like you wouldn't know from the outside. Like it's one of those kind of invisible diseases. Like unless I'm actively suffering from a migraine during a migraine, I'm perfectly normal. Aside from being a little bit of a weirdo, I'm perfectly normal. So you wouldn't know it on the outside because it's not like something that you can really see. So yeah, I just wanted to fill you guys in. I don't know if I've ever sat down and done a formal migraine update video, but it really is such a huge, huge part of my life. It definitely plays into me deciding to be a stay-at-home mom and being in that supportive role rather than having a career, because having a career and balancing family is stressful, and I just try to avoid stress whenever possible. So with that, like life situations can be stressful. Pretty much every time we've bought a house, I've had migraines. So I'm really hoping the building the house will be different than the buying a house process, because it seems like every time we bought a house or moved, I've gotten sick. Both times we've bought a house now, I've gotten really sick, like the weeks going into that, because it's such a stressful time buying a house. And this time it's gonna be, we're building it, so it's not the same kind of thing. We're not having to house hunt and all that stuff. So hopefully this time won't be as stressful and I'll be ready for it. And it's so bizarre because it's not even just stressful negative things, it's stressful happy things too. Like vacations, like half the vacations I remember ever taking, I got really sick. And one of the times we went to Mexico, I got a migraine before we got on the plane. So I was sick the entire plane trip getting to our condo. Stella's waking up now, so I do have to wrap it up, but I would get sick like every other birthday, like every other vacation. It's just something like, even excited stress would set me off. And there for a while when it was really bad in college, one day our alarm didn't go off and we woke up and we were like 20 minutes late. I got a migraine because the alarm clock didn't go off and I stressed myself out first thing in the morning. Just things like that that now I don't even think about hardly, you know? I'm so far away from the really bad migraine times, and the second I start getting a few migraines, I'm like at the doctor getting some treatment. I do have to go because Stella is waking up, so I hope you guys liked this update. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye. And she's screaming now.